Hi again, everyone. So in this video, I'm going to go over the assignments for this course and some of the expectations that I have behind those assignments. So what you're seeing here is our Canvas page. If you're not familiar with Canvas, poke around a little bit. It's pretty intuitive. Canvas does a pretty good job of laying everything out for you. This is the home page for our course. So when you log in, this is the first thing you're going to see. Gives you the course overview, the course objectives, which I'll let you read on your own, some information about me, how to reach me. I'll talk about my office hours in a minute, and then the textbook. To access the syllabus, you can click over here on the left where it says syllabus. What you'll see here is the course schedule. That is not the same thing as the syllabus. This is literally just the schedule. So what we have and when. If you want to access the syllabus, click here. See where it says please see here for the entire syllabus. If you click there, it will open up the syllabus as a Word, a Google Doc. And so this is what I want to talk about in this video. So obviously, up top, you're going to see all of my information. I forgot to mention in the last video, the best way to contact me is email. I am really responsive to emails. I know a lot of times you email people and they don't get back to you. I will get back to you. I'm very, very, very responsive to email. Don't call me on my office phone. I'm rarely in my office. I won't answer it. Email me. The other thing I like to point out is that I have what I like to call business hours. I put these in place to help give myself some sense of work-life balance and boundaries. I don't answer emails at night, usually after 4 p.m., and I don't answer emails on weekends. Okay, and I do that because I have a home life and I have a family, and I try to kind of cut myself off a little bit. So if you email me between 8 and 4, I will answer usually very quickly. Unless I'm in class or in a meeting, I will answer very quickly. If you email me at 10 p.m., I am not going to respond until the next business day. So many of my assignments, actually all of my assignments for this class, are due at 11:59 p.m. That means that if you don't sit down to start the assignment until 11 o'clock and you have a question, you email me, I am not going to answer you until the next morning. So plan accordingly, be responsible, look ahead, and make sure that you are asking for help ahead of time, because otherwise this is me telling you I will not get back to you until after the assignment is due. I also am a stickler for email etiquette. This means that when you email me, I expect you to email me as if you were emailing somebody professional, because you are. College is a professional relationship. I'm not your mom, I'm not your friend, I'm not your therapist. So, hey or yo or anything like that is not an appropriate way to address me or any of your faculty. I put together this document. It's opening up in a new tab. I'm not going to go over this now, but I do hope that you'll take some time and you'll look through it on your own. Etiquette and guidelines for college students when it comes to emailing. So how to email your instructor, what kind of title to use, what's a subject line, okay, being professional. Actually, maybe I will take a few minutes and go through this. I already mentioned in my last video that names and titles matter. Call your professors what they want to be called. If you're not sure what to call them, ask them. It's not a weird question. It's not an offensive question. People would rather be asked what they want to be called than have you make an assumption. Okay. Subject line. Many students don't know what a subject line is. It's at the top when you go to send an email, there'll be that little field and it will say subject line. What that does is it tells the person you're emailing what you are going to be talking about in the email. It's really helpful for organizational purposes. And frankly, it's unprofessional and kind of odd looking when you just leave it blank. So don't do that. Put a subject line and put something informative. Don't just say hi or this is Susie. That's not helpful. You have to tell me what the email is going to be about. If you're emailing me about exam 2, put exam 2 in the subject line. If you're emailing me about class on February 4th, put class on February 4th. And it's really helpful if you put what class you're talking about. So I'm teaching you all here in Psych 110, Intro to Psych, but I teach 4 other classes. So eventually I'll learn who goes in which class, but in the beginning of the semester, I don't know. So it's really helpful if you can put in the subject line, Psych 110 exam 2, something like that. All of your professors will appreciate that. I give you some examples of subject lines. Be professional, grammar, punctuation, capitalization. These are all important tools because Emailing is a professional means of communication. I'll let you read through all of the little pieces on your own. It is okay to follow up if you haven't heard back after 48 hours. We get a lot of email, a lot of email. I mean, I probably get 100 emails a day. And so I'm usually really good about responding, but every now and then something slips through the cracks. If you haven't heard back in 48 hours, just send a gentle nudge follow up. Something like what I put here. No professor is going to be upset about that. In fact, oftentimes they'll appreciate the reminder. Replying all is a really useful skill. You can read through that on your own. While I, of course, want you to reach out to me with questions, I want you to ask me questions that you can't figure out on your own. So if the question is, when is exam 3? That is not something you should be emailing me because that is available on Canvas and in the syllabus. But if the question is, hey, we talked about the fundamental attribution error in class, and I really don't understand what that is. I've tried looking it up. Can we talk more about it? Yes, that is a question you should be sending to me. So make sure you've tried to answer the question yourself before you ask. Okay, and this just gives some like what to say, what not to say guidelines. So skim through this. I have put this together over the years because I've learned that it's really, really helpful for students to see this kind of content. All right, back to it. Office hours. If you notice up top, my office hours are virtual. I do them virtually on Mondays. It's just a little easier that way. If you prefer to meet in person, that's totally fine. We'll find a time to meet in person. What I usually have students do is click the link to sign up. What that will do is it will pop open a calendar. This is going to look weird because it's my calendar. What you see here, there's these appointment slots. So you can click on one and it will sign you up for my office hours. What I ask that you do is you type in a message about why you want to meet, because then that gives me some idea, and then just hit save. And what that will do is it will shoot me an email saying that so-and-so wants to meet. The easiest way, but if say you have class Mondays from 9 to 11, totally fine. Just email me and say, I want to meet, but I'm not available during your office hours, and we will find a time. No worries. Oops. Students often are scared to approach their faculty. They don't want to bother us. They feel weird about coming to office hours. I do appreciate when students are mindful of my time, but office hours are literally time that we have set aside to meet with students. Like, it is time that I don't schedule anything else, that I am just kind of hanging around. I'm still going to be doing other work, but it's time that I've blocked off for meeting with students. So don't ever feel weird or bad about using that time. It is for you. I am here for you. So please don't hesitate to come to office hours. All right, I will let you read the description and the objectives on your own. We are using psychology themes and variations, the 11th edition. Yes, the edition number does matter. If you get an earlier edition, there's a good likelihood that some of the content will be different. So please make sure you have the right edition. We're doing something at Holy Family. It's called First Day. Let me pop back to Canvas so I can show you. It's called First Day. If you go into course materials, you will see, and mine's going to look a little different than yours, but you will see your psychology textbook right here. You can access it now on the first day of class. That's why it's called First Day. But if you notice right here, it says the last day to opt out is January 30th. If you, there's a plow going by, you hear it? If you want the textbook, this is an electronic textbook. It's linked into Canvas. It is already there. If you want it, you do nothing. Do absolutely nothing. You're already all set. You will be billed this $47.46. So First Day does tend to be a little bit cheaper than having to go out and buy the textbook. If you don't want the textbook, this part is important. If you don't want the textbook, you have to opt out by January 30th. If you do not do that, you will be charged for the textbook. So if you want the book, do nothing, you're all set. If you don't want the book, you need to go into this course materials and opt out of the textbook. Please ask me if you have any questions about that. I'll also occasionally post additional materials. Sometimes I post journal articles, sometimes I post videos, sometimes I post readings. Please read them. I expect that you are coming to class having done the readings. I use Canvas for everything in this class, which means that you will need to use Canvas for everything in this class. So if anything in Canvas is unclear, come talk to me or set a time to meet with IT so they can get you sorted. Your submissions, your assignment submissions must be in a format that Canvas accepts. Canvas will not accept these .pages files. I don't even know where those come from or how those are created, but Canvas won't accept them. So you need to make sure that you are turning things in correctly, which means a PDF or a Word document. If you turn something in that is in a format that Canvas can't open, I do not consider that, I assume you haven't turned it in. I treat it as if you have not submitted the assignment. So my advice would be to double check after you submit something and make sure it's showing up correctly. The other thing that I like to say about Canvas is that Canvas will not send you an email about announcements or grades or anything like that unless you tell it to do so. You have to go into the settings on Canvas and change your preferences for notifications. I strongly recommend that you do that. Go in and change your notifications, because then if I send out an announcement saying that class is canceled, or if I post a grade, you're able to, you get notified, you get an email about that, other than it just kind of appearing in Canvas. So I very, very strongly recommend that you do that. All right, let's talk about the assignments and the course requirements. This week, and then in the last week of the class, you'll post in a discussion board. This week is the welcome post. This is not intended to be stressful. Let me show you what it looks like. It's really just intended to welcome you to the class and so we can get to know each other. So you will go in, you will answer all of these questions. Your preferred name, how you pronounce your name. This is really helpful. So like, for example, Jill Swirsky, Jill rhymes with hill, swir rhymes with her, ski like ski. So I can very clearly see how your name is pronounced. Your pronouns. So for those of you who may not know what pronouns are gendered ways that we tend to designate one another. So if we see somebody who looks female presenting, we usually use she or her pronouns. For somebody who looks male presenting, we usually use he or his pronouns. For some people, though, it's not intuitive. Some people use pronouns that you may not guess. So I always like to ask students if they have pronouns that are different. Feel free to share those. That way, everybody knows how to identify them. If you want to read a little bit more of the pronouns, I have a link here. So this you can read through on your own. Fairly self-explanatory, nothing too crazy. Okay. This is due January 21st. All of the assignments for my class will be due the Sunday after the week. And so I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. There's 4 exams in this class. They are cumulative, which means you can't just learn the information for the exam and then dump it. You will need to remember the information from the earlier exams for the later exams. Anything from the chapter, from the lecture, from in-class activities is all fair game to show up on the exam. I do my exams on Canvas. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we do not meet in class on exam days. What we'll do for exam weeks is that we will meet on Tuesday. We will review. I'll usually do a Jeopardy style review. I don't teach any new content, but I expect that if you have questions about the content, you will come prepared to ask them. We'll review on Tuesday. Then that Thursday, there's no class. You take the exam on your own. You have the entire day to do so. So the exam will open at 8 a.m. It's open until 11:59 p.m. You can do the exam whenever you want during the day. However, you get one sitting, so you can't be like, oh, I have 10 minutes here, I'll start it, and then I'll leave and I'll come back and I'll finish later. Canvas will lock you out. You have one sitting. And you get 50 minutes from the time that you begin. Okay. 50 minutes may not seem like a lot of time, but I've been doing this for many, many years, and Canvas gives me an average amount of time that it takes students to complete the exam. 50 minutes is enough time. Okay. Exams can only be completed once, unless there's extenuating circumstances. Of course, come and talk to me. Exams are open book. For a class like intro, I used to do closed book exams where you had to memorize things, and that didn't feel right to me. I don't have everything memorized for this class. There's plenty of times that I have to look things up because there's just so much content, and it didn't feel right to hold you to a standard that I don't hold myself to. So exams are open book, they're open notes, they're open Google. Use what you need to use. That said, they should be completed independently. They are not open each other. You need to complete the exam on your own without another classmate with you. Here's another important point about exams. I don't allow makeups unless we have discussed it ahead of time. If you just forget to take the exam, I will not allow you to make it up. Okay, this is, and we'll talk more about that when we talk about the class policies. But the point here is to look ahead and be proactive. Now, if you're sick, if something's going down in your life, whatever it is, talk to me. Come talk to me. I'm more than happy to work with you. But if you just don't take the exam, unless there's a really, really, really darn good reason, when you reach out to me and ask if you can make it up, I'm going to tell you no. So be proactive, look ahead, and communicate. Communicate, communicate. That is by far the biggest ticket to success in this class. Every week, let's move on to the discussion forums. Every week you are going to have a discussion post. And so the goal here is for you to post something that you struggled with, a question, an extension question, a clarification question, things like that. Let me go into Canvas and show you what this looks like. Okay. You do have one of those for this week because we will cover a topic on Thursday. So here's the thing. You're going to give me an extension question or something that you didn't understand. This is a science class. While I love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, I want to hear them outside of the classroom. Within the class, I'm not interested in your opinions. I'm not interested in your thoughts. I'm not interested in your feelings, your beliefs. I'm interested in the science. So if you say things like, well, I think blah, 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 or I believe blah, 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 you're going to lose points for that. I want you to look it up. Don't guess. Don't give me opinion. Don't give me sort of tribal wisdom. I want science. So if somebody asks a question like, what does authoritarian parenting hurt children? And you say, well, I believe that blah, blah, blah. No, don't tell me what you believe. Tell me what the science says about children of authoritarian parents. Same thing with direct quotes, no direct quotes. And I say that because students tend to use them as a crutch. So you'll find something written on a website and you'll say, hey, that's a really good quote. I'm just going to use that. But I want to hear what you have to say. So make sure that you are properly paraphrasing and you're citing the source that you use. Even if you're not using a direct quote and you are paraphrasing, you still need to cite it. Questions can only be posed once. Once somebody has asked a question, they're the only one to get credit for it. If you ask a question that somebody else has asked, that means you will not get credit for your post that week. This means that you need to read the forum before you submit your post. Right? Make sure that your post clearly connects to the content that we discussed in class that week. So if in the week on learning and behavior, you should not be asking me a social psychology or asking us, because you're not just asking. You shouldn't be posting social psychology question. It's fine to, it's fine to connect. It's fine to say, okay, so in the week on learning and behavior, we talked about social learning theory. But now here in the week on social psychology, we're talking about group dynamics. I'm curious about the interplay between those two. That's fine. It's fine to connect material, but make sure that you are clearly relating it to the content from that week. One of the biggest places that students lose points on this assignment is posting a question that could be answered with a quick Google search or from reading the textbook. So if you just say, what is Erickson's theory? There's a whole section on that in the textbook. There's a whole slide on that in the PowerPoint. You can Google that really, really easily. I don't want questions that you can just throw into Google. I want to see that you are thinking clearly and extending. So maybe you're confused about the difference between Erickson's 5th stage and 6th stage. That's a good clarification question, but not just kind of what is the theory. In terms of responses now, so everybody will post a question and then you will go in and you will answer 2 of your peers' questions. Again, not with your thoughts, not with your opinions. You're going to look up the answers and post them. It's fine to say things like great point, good question, totally fine. But that's not an answer. That you can start by that, but then you need to actually answer the question. Same thing with the posts. If once a question has been answered, you cannot give the same answer. You have to give something new. That doesn't mean you can't also comment on a post that's already been commented on. It just means you can't say the same thing as the person before you. You have to add something new. Um, and I want to see at least one scientific source in your responses. Scientific source meaning a .edu, a .org website. Don't just give me like a random blog written by Joe Schmo, anybody. It should be actually a scientific source. If you're not sure how to do that, come talk to me. I can help you. I'll probably point you towards the library where they have all sorts of resources to be able to help you find good scientific sources. Okay, and so then here's the rubric for how you're graded: the novelty, the relevance, the depth, and then your responses. We will have one of these posts every week. There's 11 weeks of posts. I only grade 10. This means you get one that's a freebie. You don't need to tell me when you're using your freebie. I'll just assume that when you don't turn a post in, that's the one that you're choosing to use your free pass on. I strongly advise that you save that post until the end of the semester. Don't blow it in the beginning of the semester because you might need it later. Please note that for the week that you choose not to do your post, I will still have to put a 0 into Canvas, just because Canvas has to recognize that as a number. It will get dropped at the end of the semester. The first assignment that I have you all do is an academic honesty assignment. This is not intended to be super, super stressful. It's just intended to give you an overview of what plagiarism is. Plagiarism is academic theft, right? So it is stealing other people's ideas. And so I ask that you read the plagiarism guidelines, you read the academic honesty policy, you read the plagiarism tutorial. There's a test at the end of the tutorial. You have to get 100%. Once you do, you can take it as many times as you need. Once you do, I want you to screenshot the test and paste it in here in the document. And then there's a contract. So you're going to read each statement, you're going to sign or initial, basically just saying that you understand and you agree with the plagiarism policies in this course. If you have already done this for me in a different class, I don't think any of you have, but if you have, I do ask you to do it again. It doesn't take very long and the refresher is always helpful. I believe this is due next week, so you have a little bit of time. But you cannot pass the class without having completed this. So don't just sleep on this. If you don't turn this in, you won't pass the class. So please make sure you get that assignment turned in to me. Okay, well, now I have too many tabs open and I can't find anything. All right. I grade on engagement and participation. This means that you have to not only show up, you have to show up and engage. It's a partially lecture-based class. You will hear me talk a lot. We're all going to be sick of hearing me talk by the end of the semester. But it's much more fun and engaging and dynamic when you all engage with me instead of just me engaging with you. Okay, so you have to come to class and you have to engage in class. You can earn up to 5 points each week for your participation and engagement. Do not sleep on this. I have seen students do poor, like go down entire letter grades in this class just from not participating. So don't do that. Here's how I break things down. So if you are present both days in class and you engage both days, Tuesday and Thursday of the week, 5 points. If you're present both days, you engage one day, 4 points, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can miss a day of class and still get in participation points. You'd probably lose a point, but anyway, you're still gonna do okay. I realize that some people find talking in class stressful. I get that. I do. The reality, though, is that the world expects you to engage. And so, if that's something that you really struggle with, come talk to me. I have tips, I have ideas. I'm happy to work with you however you need to help you feel comfortable engaging in the class. But you do need to do that in order to earn these points. And participation is worth, I forget, it's worth 25% of your grade. So take that seriously. The topic paper, I'll talk a little bit more about this as we get a bit closer, but basically you're going to write me one paper during the course of the semester. It'll be a 5-page paper. It's going to connect something from the material for that week with a fictional topic. So everybody is going to sign up for a week to write their paper. So everybody's going to have a different deadline here. For example, during the week that we cover development, you might write a paper about parenting style and Harry Potter characters. During the week on disorders and treatment, you might write about the disorders that we see in Winnie the Pooh. It's a popular one. Papers are due on the Sunday evening of the week that you choose. So, for example, say you sign up to write your paper on learning and behavior. We'll cover learning and behavior on Tuesday the 13th and Thursday the 15th. That means your paper is going to be due Sunday the 18th for learning and behavior. If you choose human development, your paper will be due April 3rd. Yeah, April 3rd. Okay. I created a sign up sheet. There we go. And so here is where you can go in and sign up for the topic that you want to write your paper on. I strongly recommend you doing this as soon as possible because they are first come, first serve. Obviously, you may not change anybody else's name. So once the three slots are full, that's it, no more. And I even put the deadline that the date that they're due. So if you're writing your paper on emotion and motivation, it's due March 31st. Learning and behavior, February 18th. Please note there's a few caveats. I was getting just every single student writing me papers on Finding Nemo or Finding Dory for memory or Inside Out for emotion or Mean Girls for social psych. I'm sick of it. Let's be a little more creative. So I did put caveats that you can't use certain topics or certain fictional topics for certain class topics. If you're struggling or if you have a question about what to write your paper on, come talk to me. I can definitely help you with that. So the topic paper, I also give you a lot more information in Canvas. If you go to topic paper, there's a lot more content here. There's two other things that I want to mention. So you are choosing a fictional topic. So say Harry Potter parenting styles. That is going to be your fictional topic. Your class topic would be human development. You're then going to choose 5 constructs. I get the question a lot, what is a construct? Think of a construct as like a term or a vocabulary word. When you read through the textbook, these are the things that are going to be bolded. When you look through the slide, these are going to be the slide headings. Pretty open about what you choose for your 5 constructs. It can really be anything relevant from the chapter. I don't go too crazy with those. If you are struggling to come up with 5 constructs, please come talk to me. I'd be happy to help you. Please bold your constructs. If you don't do this, I will send the paper back to you. I need you to bold the constructs so I can see what they are. I give you some sample papers. I'm going to show you an example here. See how display rules is bolded? That's what I want you to do. When you first mention your construct, extrinsic motives, these are bolded. So it's very easy for me to see from the beginning what your constructs are going to be. So you're going to choose 5, and then you're going to connect everything together. So the most successful papers, the first paragraph is sort of like an introduction to the fictional topic. Give me 1 paragraph. Tell me about what you assume I haven't seen the movie or read the book or seen the show or played the video game. From there, you're going to tell me how it connects to the class content. Give me 5 paragraphs, 1 for each construct. Identify it. Define it. That's very important. Define your construct. Tell me what you're talking about. Explain how it connects to the class material, and then sum everything up at the end. Okay. Your goal is not to give me a summary. Do not give me a summary of the chapter. I've had students turn in really well-written summaries and have done poorly on this assignment because that's not what I'm asking you to do. You're connecting what you've learned in the fictional topic with what we've learned in the class topic. I do ask for sources. I ask for 3 good sources. So things like Wikipedia, blogs, random websites, not so good. I want you to look at Google Scholar, PsycInfo, Simply Psychology, Psychology Today, and Very Well Mind are all really good places to look. 3 sources. Again, if you're not sure, if you're struggling, come talk to me. I can help. no direct quotes, no direct quotes. I will take a point off for each direct quote. The same reason that I already mentioned. I want you to paraphrase. The last thing, well, two more things I want to say about this assignment. This assignment will not show up on your Canvas calendar. I'm going to say that again because it's very important. This assignment will not show up on your Canvas calendar. The reason that it doesn't is that I didn't assign a deadline to this assignment because every student has a different deadline based on the topic that they signed up for. So it will not show up. You are responsible for going in here and noting the deadline for your specific paper. Do not be that student who forgets to turn in the assignment because you didn't realize that it wasn't showing up in your calendar. This is me telling you it will not show up in your calendar. In addition to the paper, there's one other little piece of this assignment that I really like. Call it the sheet update. I can't really think of a better name. If you have something better, please tell me. Basically, what I'm doing is I collect the ideas. What I was finding was that students were turning in these really, really cool topic papers with these really creative topics, and I was the only one who was seeing them. So what I ended up doing is making a spreadsheet, and it accumulates everybody's topics that they've come up with. So if you're struggling with what to write about for development, you can go in here and look and see all of the different options. There's a ton of ideas. Okay, don't steal somebody's idea, but it can give you some inspiration. So what you're going to do is you're going to complete this Google form, right? You're basically just summarizing your paper into 100 to 150 words and submitting it. So this is due alongside your paper. This shouldn't take you long. You write the paper first and then condense it into a paragraph. You're checking off the semester, check off the class topic. So if you're doing memory, pick memory. If you're doing stress, health, and coping, whatever. Your name, your real world topics, like the fictional topic that you chose. Maybe it's Harry Potter, maybe it's Frozen, maybe it's Breaking Bad, whatever. Your 5 theories or constructs, and then a 100 to 150 word summary or description. And your summary should very clearly note all of the 5 constructs and how they are applied. So I give you a sample here. It's not letting me make it bigger. There it goes. I give you a sample here. I'm sticking with the Harry Potter and parenting styles. So very clearly in this paragraph, describing how I used each form of parenting and how I connected to Harry Potter. That's what I want to see. Sample papers, check those out. They are papers that I've collected over the years that I thought were especially good. And so those are a good way to see exactly what it is I'm looking for. All right, a million things open again. Close that, close that, close that. All right, one more thing, SONA research participation. We'll talk more next week about research, but the thing is that when we do research, we need participants. And so it's very common in universities that the intro to psych students, and usually the research method students as well, are going to be asked to take part in research. See who's listened this far. I'm curious. So if you have listened this far and you're hearing this, email me a picture of your pet and tell me a funny story about your pet. And I will give you a point of extra credit on exam 1. I don't give a lot of extra credit, so take advantage of that opportunity. If you don't have a pet, Google image a picture of a pet and make up a funny story. I'm not picky, just something. Just curious to see who's actually listening. Okay, back to SONA. So you will participate in a research study or you can complete the alternative research assignment. Don't worry about this too much yet. You're going to get an email in a couple weeks from Dr. Dash Yi. She is the SONA coordinator. Basically, she will give you the information that you need to log in. You will go into SONA, you will complete one study or you'll do the alternate assignment. Don't stress too much about this just yet. We'll talk more about this in a few weeks. SONA isn't graded in this class, so you don't get like points for it. It's graded on complete, incomplete, but, and this is important, if you don't do SONA, you will not pass the class. So you need to meet this requirement in order to pass the class. So don't play around with that. Get it done. But again, you have a couple weeks before you have access to the system. So that's about it for the assignments. And I will do one more video where we'll talk about class policies. So I will see you there.